One last thing on the recruiting aspect. I think it is going to be wildly effective to have Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, and Mike Bobo sit down with a kid and say, look, the battery of this team, we all love this place. We know what it takes to be in this place. I think that is it. If anybody can think of anything like that that's happened before, please point me in that direction.
I don't know. I was racking my brain trying to think about programs that just had their alums just calling the shots, running the show at multiple spots, the important coordinator positions. I don't know, man. I really don't. I mean, Spurrier at Florida, that's the comparison that is accurate between, Smart and Spurrier. But beyond the head coaching spot, I don't know that Spurrier had a ton of former Gators running the show for him on offense and defense.
You don't see it a lot outside of like analyst positions or basically honorariums. Guys come back and trying to work their way up through the ranks, etc. I mean, to be guys on this level, it's very I can't think of anything like it personally, and I think that's the kind of thing that's going to play incredibly well as you move forward. And we talked about this on the board too, and I think Wes, you brought it up, the idea of stability moving forward. The idea that you're not probably.
Palmer, you wrote about that today, didn't you?
I don't think I did.
Just say yes.
Just say yes.
Well, I'll write about it tomorrow then.
No, yeah. I love the way Palmer responds to stuff. I don't think I did.
No, but the idea that is the NFL going to come calling for Mike Bobo next year if he has a great season? Is another team going to come try to hire him as a head coach again? Maybe. I guess that's possible, but I don't know. I mean, with Will Muschamp and Mike Bobo, I think that you've got a battery that can stay together for at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge to sell on recruiting.
Yeah. And it goes deeper. It goes Brian McClendon. It goes Todd Hartley. I mean, it gets in there, man. We go, what is it? We too deep. That's what it is. We too deep.
All right. Well, I'm going to chop wood about, I'm going to just keep going here and chop wood about that. Now you've got guys that are stable, like we all mentioned. They're all dogs. That's great. That's cool. But how about everything else that Kirby Smart has to worry about now that he didn't think he was going to have to worry about as a head coach when he and Bobo and Muschamp were in college joking about how awesome it would be if they were all coaches again one day? He's got to think about NIL, 24/7, 365, recruiting, that never stops, and the portal. And if you can have things built into your program that it's just one less thing to worry about, like Forrest Gump when he got his Apple stock in that fruit company, one less thing. That's big. So I'm chopping wood about that stability. Thank you, Jake. I kind of just stole what you were talking about, but I appreciate that.
No, I mean, I was going to chop wood. I pretty much used up everything I could chop wood on.
That's fine. We just kind of shared the axe.
No, right, sure. I mean, to me, like I said, the thing I wanted to chop on, and I'll go back to it because I think it's really important. The three guys that Georgia has circled at the quarterback position, as it stands right now, are three guys. One guy who is already committed, the top guy in the nation whose mentor played for Mike Bobo, and another guy from Savannah who has an established relationship and plays in South Georgia, where Mike Bobo has been a legitimate threat throughout his entire career. I think Georgia's in a tremendous spot when it comes to Mike Bobo and his recruiting moving forward. The way I look at it, Georgia didn't want to upset what they have going, and they probably upgraded in that facet. That's the facet I cover. That's the facet that I care about. We'll see how the rest of it plays out. But Georgia, I think, got better and in at least one measurable. The rest of it TBD. In that measurable, I think it's inarguable. And I think that right now that makes it feel like a pretty solid win. And I'll also say, too, I'm chopping wood on the fact that I hadn't seen anybody give any extra names for who they wanted to see at offensive coordinator. I've not seen one suggestion. All I've seen is just not Mike Bobo.
Buster Faulkner. I mean, Buster Faulkner in his 25 points a game at Southern Miss in 2019.
Buster was the only other one that I've seen mentioned.
I've seen plenty of people that have thrown out some names behind. I mean, not necessarily on our message board, but in terms of texting.
Which names?
I mean,
the enemy.
People would have loved for Georgia to make a run at Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think that's happening.
Sure.
But,
Yeah, I'm not
Sure.
doing that at you, Palmer. Anybody who says that needs to have their internet shut off.
They need to go touch grass, as they say.
Thailand hanging out, man. He's getting probably going to work for D'Amico Ryans and the Texans. He ain't
Bangkok's got him.
He's not coming back to do NIL shit. Are you kidding me?
I just the narrative that I've heard from a lot of people is they are disappointed. Maybe not necessarily that Bobo is the guy, but that Georgia didn't at least search for a guy.
I thought from a pure optics standpoint, it would have been. I could have understood them doing it, but I think Wes, you made was it you that said about not having to worry about this dragging?
Well, look at what Bama just went through.
Exactly.
I mean, and they might have made a good hire, but the perception is they didn't get their guy, and they're worrying about it. And it's just keep coming back to the stability of you have things locked in place. Let's be efficient. Let's move forward and make good decisions. It seems pretty easy to me.
Well, and Wes, like I pointed out to you yesterday as we were closing up that show, we're less than a month away from spring practice now.
Yep.
And you want to have some stability. So I do get that, but the optics, like Ruth said, of had Georgia left this position open for longer than 5 minutes, it's a very attractive position, and people would have enjoyed an OC search.
Yeah, and we would have. Listen, wait a minute. I don't want to say I would have enjoyed it. It would have been good for business. Good for business.
Yeah,
because I'll put our info up against anybody's as far as our ability to get it. I think we're good at that. But I mean, I will say this. I think that what this comes down to is it's just, and you're not going to be able to separate people from it. It's kind of like, you got drunk off of that certain liquor when you're in college and you vomited all day the next day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You can't smell it for years. You can't, I mean, you can't even look at it on the shelf. Like it's awful. And I think a lot of people have that. And I think it's kind of misplaced and a little wild to feel this way about it, because it wasn't bad. It just wasn't elite. But I think folks have that taste in their mouth about the Mark Richt era, especially how it ended and how boring it was in 2015. Listen, Todd Hartley was met with gale force winds. Maybe he learns under Kirby Smart, they said. Well, Todd Hartley has panned out quite well. Brian McClendon, do we bring this guy back?
Trey Scott was direct.
I'm just talking about these. I'm talking about these Mark Richt retreads, right? These from the Mark Richt era. Again, met with some, Brian McClendon, for real. But that one was accepted more because Brian McClendon was known as the guy who got Todd Gurley and who got Sony Michel and Nick Chubb and Isaiah Wynn and Lorenzo Carter, and keep it going. But and then here we go. Stacey Searles comes in. That's a buddy hire. You had people blaming Mike Bobo for Stacey Searles getting hired. Like somehow Mike Bobo has gotten his tentacles into a national championships head coach's, living room and
from an analyst. From an analyst.
Scissors, by the way.
From an analyst.
Listen, Georgia's 3 for 3. Let's see if they can make it 4 for 4.
Mike Bobo back there just pulling strings from the analyst position.
Everything is Mike Bobo's fault.
Mike Bobo is the Illuminati.
Yeah, he is. Mike Bobo was actually performing in the Super Bowl halftime show.
I want to see Mike Bobo throw one of these up on the sideline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just made Bobo a 9 out here.
We just made it on InfoWars, Jake. Thank you.
I got the documents right here.
That's pretty good. That's a good Alex.
That was good.
Hold on, let me like get my face all juiced up and red, and I can really
shirt off.
Yeah.
Is that gonna make it in the next show intro?
I don't know. I have hours of footage to filter through now, and I'm gonna have to take all the Todds out. So I got to worry about that.